Hop Sing, #1 cook on Ponderosa.
I go away now.
Hop Sing, wait a minute. Hop Sing. Wait a minute, Hop Sing. You can't do that. Why, if you left here, I'd waste away to a shack.
Oh, Adam found some lad wandering around. Well, what'd you do with him, Hop Sing?
Him no, boy. Him girl.
What?
You go look see, please.
Well, Adam, if you don't know a boy from a girl...
Shut up. Where is he? I mean, she.
Still in the wash house.
Well, bring her in here.
No can do, boss. Burn up clothes. All very bad shape.
You know, I think I better see what I can do about this.
Maybe you just better stay right where you are.
I reckon that'll teach you who can catch chickens.
Very good. Very funny. Too skinny, thank you.
Your cousins, see if they seen it.
Nothing it could you boys be here on Barbary Coast.
You're as bad as Paul, Hop Sing. Now, I've heard tell a man can have himself a lot of fun down there on this Barbary Coast.
Yeah, well, you know, brother, I've heard the same thing.
You go now, Mr. Cartwright?
Yeah?
You go Virginia City, get sheriff?
No, there's no need for that.
Oh, you think no trouble?
Yes, I think no trouble. What have you got there?
A sandwich. This for Little Joe and Mr. Adam.
Mm-hmm.
This for Mr. Hoss.
Yeah, seems about right.
You tell Mr. Hoss I cooked turkey for supper.
Oh, that's fine. What are the rest of us going to eat?
Oh, it's pretty funny joke, Mr. Cartwright. No, not so funny. Have to kill another turkey, pick another turkey, stuff another turkey, cook another turkey. Big joke. Goodbye.
Good morning, Hop Sing. What's that I smell? Is that something new?
You find out pretty soon.
It sure smells good.
Keep hands off, nosy belly.
Hop Sing, you sure are getting to be a grouch. But I gotta admit, the food's good. Hop Sing, just walk along in front of her. She don't like to hang on.
Was that you, Hop Sing?
I bump into chair.
You better watch where you're going.
All right. Now the hot water to rinse me. On the double, boy. Now, hold on. That's not too hot, is it?
No, sir, Colonel Bragg. Not hot. Not hot at all.
Hey, will you look at that? Any man who sneaks away from danger is a deserter. In any army in the world, he'd be put against a wall and shot.
I no deserter, Mr. Adam. I take long vacation. Colonel Bragg, all time yell. Head go boom, boom, boom. Very bad.
Pa served with the colonel. Old Fussed and Fuddled, as men called him. Pa even saved the colonel's life one night when he wandered into the enemy lines.
I know. He tell me same story 50 times.
Well, that makes it a privilege to have him as a guest in our house, to keep his valuables in our safe and to look after his busted leg.
No privilege, Mr. Adam. Just too much dad burn trouble.
Now, look, Hop Sing, it's not just a privilege. You see, the horse the colonel fell from when he busted his leg was one that Pa sold him. Now, that makes it an obligation.
Hop Sing, obligation?
Well, you're one of the family, aren't you? Just like me, Hoss, and little Joe?
You're too smart for me, Mr. Adam. You say I one of the family, I cannot go. I stay.
You remember when we built this house, Hop Sing? This room was filled with so much happiness. Mrs. Cartwright, little Joe's mother, Adam, Hoss, little Joe. They filled this house. That's what it was built for. Happiness, love, family.
Hop Sing not like silence either. Here your coffee, little Joe.
Ah, thank you, Hop Sing. I'm gonna stay up and read for a while. Pa's going to bed. Hop Sing, what's the matter with that coffee?
No sugar.
Yeah, well, no sugar's one thing, but what you put in it?
Chinese sweet, vinegar root. You know like you bring Hop Sing sugar.
要佢有10幾回都戒糖得唔得？得唔得？And you take your feet off the table。咁大個仔真係唔生性嘅。
I wonder if he knows what he's saying.
Where'd you get those?
In kitchen, where not belong.
I'm sorry. We'll take better care of them next time.
Poor management. Soon you lose business.
All right, the management will get better. We're going to get more cages. It's going to be all right. Just don't...
George sign in here, how long good?
You
speak English. George.
我唔聽你講，你講咩啊？你都講，你都講啊！真係啊，咁大風啊，吹一場咁緊要啊！
I'm saying you take it easy. Have a good trip, huh?
You be good boy, little Joe.
What happened to your eye?
Never mind what happened to my eye. I am in no mood to listen to your troubles. I have enough of my own. Now just be good enough to serve me my dinner, please.
Where Mr. Hoss, little Joe?
Hoss and Joe are in jail.
All right. In jail? Hobson go get wagon. We go to town, we get them out.
I have no intention of going into town. I have no intention of getting them out. I have just finished putting them in. And don't ask me why.
But Mr. Hoss get hungry in jail. He used to Hobson cooking.
Then he'll have to get used to the cooking in jail. Now, serve me my dinner, please.
好咧，我教你咯，慢慢嚟啦。
I think I was putting them into jail to starve them to death or something, the way he carries on. Being in jail will be good for him. Thank you, Hopsy. Hopsy, I'm in no mood for any jokes. Just bring the roast.
Bread, water, good enough for son. Bread, water, good enough for father.
I was wondering. That pigtail will get you to heaven. Then why won't it get me to heaven?
It's about the only way you'd get in, Amo.
Look at that! No, it just
Popsy?
Go away, little Joe, please.
Come on now, I'm saying nothing's that bad.
It's bad. It's very bad.
Look, I know what you meant to you, but that's one good thing about hair. It grows again.
It takes a long time.
But you're gonna live a long time. Now, heck, when you're ready for the pearly gates, you're gonna have plenty of hair.
Hair belong to me. Mr. Younger, he no give back.
You want it back?
Without hair, ancestor very unhappy with Hobson. Hobson cannot face elder, lose the face. Hobson very shame.
Come on now. Look, I'll make you a deal. You get on your horse and ride over to the old relay station at Twin Forks and you wait for Hoss and Candy. I'll go on over to Younger's place and see if I can't get it back for you. How's that sound?
That sounds very good. Excuse me,
Come on. There you go.
Thank you, little Joe. You're very good to Hobson.
Forget it.
Hobson, no forget. Someday maybe I help you.
All right, you got a deal. Go on and get in the wagon.
Look. Look.
That's my thumb mark. Is that a chop?
That's a chop. Everybody got chop. All the same is a different.
Now, wait a minute. You lost me again.
Wait. What you're saying is that Hoss has a chop and I have a chop and you have a chop, but they're all different.
That's right.
And you can look at a chop and tell who made it?
That's right.
Everybody born with a chop. It's his chop all his life. Never change. Chinese people is very smart. Know this a long, long time.
Will you stand and tell this court, this judge and jury, exactly what you told me a moment ago?
Chop on club, same as chop of Mr. Jackson.
I declare this a mistrial. The defendant, Joseph Cartwright, is released on his own recognizance, pending a new hearing. This court is adjourned.
Brother.
Oh, Mr. Cartwright. Wait till you hear. You struck it rich? No. Hobson give up prospecting. Hobson going to be married.
Married?
I want you to meet Mr. Ben Cartwright. Number one boss, Mr. Cartwright, this is Missy, fly to feed.
Missy?
Shake hand with boss.
Howdy do.
There are laws regulating marriages, and with a license may be a problem.
Oh, why problem? Hobson man, Missy woman.
It's a little more complicated than that. You see, well, yours would be an interracial marriage. Chinese, Caucasian. Well, the law specifically prohibits such marriages.
You make joke. Mr. Cartwright, you make joke.
I'm afraid it's true, Hobson.
Why? Hobson good as any ranch hand. Ranch hand get married? Why not Hobson?
The law forbids it.
Why they pass law against Hobson?
Well, it's not against you or Missy. It's against all interracial marriages.
Language is very clear. Interracial marriage between Caucasians and Chinese is prohibited by law.
You mean we no can get license?
You cannot. Hobson, I've known you for a long time. As Ben Cartwright's guest, I've eaten many of your fine meals. Believe me, I don't want you to get into trouble. You've got to give this up.
Hobson no give up. We get married without license. Chinese marriage.
That's not a wise idea. If you get married in the United States, you'll both go to prison.
I still want to be your wife.
You hear what judge say. We get married. We go to jail.
Chinese people. I like Hobson.
Some like men in Virginia City. People same everywhere. Some good, some bad. Goodbye, Missy.
Hobson, Missy wants to stay with you.
No. Hobson no want Missy here. Go home. Go home. Go home. Missy happy? Hobson happy? Then people and law spoil everything. Not first time Hobson been kicked and punched. For Hobson, it's no matter. For Missy, it's very bad. Missy say she want to stay. Hobson tell her go home. Hobson say he don't want her here. Hobson, very big liar.
Really really is a terrific, terrific salute to Victor.
Well, for those of us who were on the team, so to speak, we thought it was fitting that Hop Sing should get his own, because Victor was there from day one from the pilot all the way to season 14. So he's definitely an integral part of Bonanza all the way through.
Yeah. Well, like Adam said, he's part of the family.
Which I love that clip. That's a good clip. But I mean,
I
Victor
love
Sen
it.
Yung was a celebrated actor before this, right? I mean,
Yes.
He was
Andy, why didn't Victor Sen Yung get more billing? Why didn't he become one of the starring roles, or he was always just with at the end?
That's a good question. And as I understand it, he was the last actor hired, a woman by the name of Jean Leff, who was in charge of the NBC on-air talent in 1959, recommended him, and David Dortort considered a number of Chinese American actors in Hollywood at the time, and David envisioned the part primarily for comedic relief. And he also was aware of the important role that Chinese Americans played in the history of the United States in the 19th century, especially in the West with regard to the building of the railroad. And so he wanted, always as a student of history, to include a Chinese American in the cast, but again, primarily for comedic relief, which was a reflection, unfortunately, of the social mores of the time, and subsequently so-called Asian stereotypes, other ethnic minority stereotypes have gotten a lot of criticism, and justifiably so. So if Bonanza were done today, certainly it would be historically accurate to have a Chinese American cook, but probably would have to lay off on the comedic relief aspect. But Vic, as his friends called him, was a terrific, terrific actor and very versatile, and could do comedy very well, and did comedy very well as Charlie Chan's number 2 son for many years in the Charlie Chan series, first filmed at 20th Century Fox and later Monogram Studios. And so, yeah, he was a very highly regarded, accomplished actor, a very well-known actor. And in 1940, he was in probably his favorite film, something called The Letter, based on the Somerset Maugham short story, which starred Bette Davis. And he won an award. He was recognized by the Los Angeles Film Critics Association as the best supporting actor of the year, which was a pretty prestigious award. I think that by 1959, Vic realized that there were not a lot of leading roles available for Asian Americans. I'll revise that. There were no roles available as a lead for Asian Americans. So he was grateful for the opportunity to have a supporting role. And in fact, that's what this was. His contract, unlike the others, was not to play a regular part in every episode. And so his salary was significantly less than the others. And I don't know specifically what his contract was for, but it might have been something like 4 episodes out of every 13, something like that. So there are many, many episodes, consequently, consecutively, where you don't even see Hop Sing, we don't even see Vic at all. So I hope that kind of sort of answers your question. He was just never envisioned as an important main character, but as an important supporting recurring character who would appear intermittently, especially when the script called for some lighthearted comedic relief.
Sometimes we got number 2 cousin or number 1 cousin.
Well, that, Carol, is also a very important point, and thank you for mentioning that. That started with San Francisco Holiday, which Tommy Thompson wrote. And as Tommy originally wrote it and envisioned it, it was even more lighthearted than it was as produced. And there was number 2 cousin, there was number 6 cousin, there was number 8 cousin, and they were all to be played by James Hong. So I'll let that sink in for a moment. But David Dortort wisely decided, that's not such a good idea. So he asked Tommy to please revise the script. So there was just one cousin, which was James Hong. And then the following year, the second year, James Hong appears with Dan Duryea in, was that Badge of Honor? I forget, I think it was Badge of Honor, second year. And James Hong spills a cup of coffee or a cup of tea onto the lap of Dan Duryea. And then you'll all remember he's very exasperated, and he said, we used to have the most marvelous cook, Hop Sing, but he went back to China. Well, he didn't go back to San Francisco. He went to China, which seems to me imply that he's not coming back. And I've asked over the years a lot of people about that, and no one's been able to give me an answer. So the best explanation that I could think of is Vic intended to leave the cast and do other things. I know he was working on Flower Drum Song, which hired very many Asian and Japanese Americans, which was in production in 1960 and was released in 1961 based on the Rodgers and Hammerstein musical. And he had a featured part in that. But his schedule was such that he could moonlight, and he did a lot of moonlighting. He was in a lot of situation comedies while Bonanza was in production throughout the 1960s. So I guess he had a change of heart. I've asked his son Brent about that, and he didn't really remember. His parents were divorced by that time, so he was not living with his father. And I guess the only one who might know is James Hong, but I spoke to him on one occasion briefly, but we didn't really get a chance to go into any details about his recollections.
Well, Barb made the comment Vic was involved in a skyjacking and was injured.
Yep, that's true. Right around the time that he filmed Lonely Man during season 13, I'm sorry, yeah, season 13, or it might have been during hiatus. It might have been during the break in filming, because they often would have 2 or 3 months off, especially in the later years. They had more time off between seasons. And those of us who are old enough to remember, skyjacking was very popular, if you'll pardon the phrase. And it seems like there were reports of a plane being hijacked and diverted to a different destination quite frequently. And this was a flight between San Francisco and Los Angeles, and terrorists, hijackers, were aboard and demanded that the plane be diverted. And it ended in gunfire between FBI agents and the bad guys. And I believe the bad guys were killed, and Vic was shot accidentally. He was shot at the point where his backside meets the saddle. So Michael Landon didn't miss an opportunity to make fun of him because of that. But thankfully, he recovered completely from his injuries. But yeah, that was certainly an unfortunate incident that happened in the summer of 1972, I believe.
Thank you, Carol. All the videos were wonderful. This is from Nassim. Yes, that scene with Ben and Hop Sing in the silent house was so touching. It's good. Somebody said he was in Flower Drum Song, and when the movie was filmed, he was replaced with James Hong. Is that true? Is that what you had said, Andy?
I don't know what that means.
Well, that it was originally cast in it, and then
I don't think that James Hong had anything to do with Flower Drum Song. I think that Vic was away for an extended period of time from the Ponderosa to do his part in Flower Drum Song. But if you watch Flower Drum Song, he's not in a lot of scenes. So it was probably maybe 2 or 3 weeks worth of work. So that would have been enough to take him away from the Ponderosa for 2 or 3 episodes. But he was missing from the last few episodes of the first year and virtually all the episodes of the second year. And then I think he returns in The Tax Collector, which is one of the last episodes filmed in the second year. So he was out of, I want to say, maybe about 20 shows. I counted once, but I don't remember off the top of my head. But I don't think that James Hong had anything to do with Flower Drum Song. I think maybe coincidentally, maybe not, Vic just decided that he didn't want to continue with the series for whatever reason. It's been lost to history, unfortunately. But then he had a change of heart and came back.
Rose Patterson said, did he appear in the Charlie Chan films? And then Janet had said, been in Charlie Chan mode the past couple of weeks. It's always fun to see Victor as number 2 son. So
yeah,
yes,
very successful.
Yes. It says on IMDb, Vic was listed in the cast for Flower Drum Song. So, oh, there's Robin. Thank you, Robin, for looking that up.
Roz, thank you, Roz, for corroborating my sometimes flawed memory. But you know what? I'd like to.
She fixed her. Well, didn't fix her comment. Edited her comment. She said, "No, I meant Hong did Vic's part on Bonanza. So when he was doing Flower Drum Song, did that when they used James Hong in Bonanza episodes?"
Well, James Hong was in 2 episodes. One was San Francisco Holiday, which was a one-shot, and that was filmed in 1960. And the second was it Badge of Honor? Whatever the...
Oh, the one you were just talking about?
Yeah.
You're with that.
Without honor. Without.
Badge without honor. Oh, yes. No wonder it didn't sound right.
Without.
That makes more sense. Yes, Badge without honor. That was James Hong's second Bonanza episode and his last, but he gave the impression that he would be sticking around for a while. But why Vic came back, why Vic came left, well, I can understand why Vic returned, but why he left, I don't know.
He was only in about 100 episodes. Victor, I mean, it's 100 and something. I can't remember the exact amount, but he was only, I mean, it seems like he's there when he's really not. They talk about him, but he's not ever in the episode. But he was out a lot the second year.
Well, that's still a lot. That's a quarter of them, right? I mean, out of the 400 and whatever. So that's still an impressive number. Ellen, we're gonna last comment, and then I think we'll move on.
I just wanted to comment a little about the cultural, what we would call today insensitivity. I had just gotten back from a Bonanza convention, and I was at work, and I had worked with several Chinese people. I worked in IT at the time, and they were wanting to know about Bonanza, and I was trying to explain it, and then I kind of put my foot in it a little bit, and I said, well, we've got this, there's a Chinese character, and his name is Hop Sing, and they were like, that's not a Chinese name. And then they kind of were like, they were amongst each other, and then they said, like, it was so funny the way they said it. That sounds Laotian to me. And they said it the way somebody from Texas would talk about somebody from Oklahoma. You know, it was like, ugh. But I was glad that they, you know, kind of took that path. And so I didn't have to continue down the path of why Hop Sing was funny.
Well, you know, I think it's worth discussing a little bit, and maybe we don't really have the time to go into it here, but I thank you, Ellen, for bringing out the important point that the character of Hop Sing is controversial. And I think that, you know, we would have to defend the character to people who don't know Bonanza and just know the appearance of Asian American characters as stereotypes. So, you know, how do you address that? How do you get around it? I know Vic himself was quoted in newspaper articles in the early 70s when he did a lot of press and publicity stuff because he was promoting his connection with the Chungking Company and Chinese foods. And then he wrote a book, The Great Wok Cookbook, which was very well received. And he made appearances on talk shows locally across the country and nationally on the Mike Douglas Show, demonstrating cooking techniques. And as I recall, his attitude was what I tried to say a few minutes ago, that he always approached the part as comedic relief, that he was primarily a comedian. He was bringing a lighthearted touch to an otherwise serious situation. And no, he didn't think that what he was doing was stereotypical, and you could talk about his accent, but he said his accent was affected because that was what was expected in the entertainment of the time. And there are a handful of episodes which I think address bigotry and prejudice very well. The wonderful example that Carol gave us in the clip from Lonely Man, which was Vic's favorite episode, not surprisingly. Mark of Guilt also, I think, was a strong anti-bigotry and prejudice episode. And The Fear Merchants with Gene Evans from the first year, where the director employed the very clever dramatic technique of having all the Asian actors speak with flawless accents to demonstrate that they were speaking in Chinese. Although it was Philip Ahn who played the leader of the leading Chinese people, who spoke without an accent even when he was speaking English. But I guess for the Hop Sing character, they had to show the difference in the accent. But it's a tough subject to explore and to settle. And I know that there was a holdup in the production and the release of episodes of the Charlie Chan series on DVD in recent years because of the controversy. Ultimately, they were released with wraparound segments by scholars and historians who discussed what we're talking about a little bit now, the stereotypes and the best way to present people in the most positive light, which is sometimes.
Well, you have to figure in Hollywood too, for a Chinese person to play a Chinese person was a big deal. I mean, here you are in a Western where half of the Indians are either Caucasian people dressed up like Indians, or they're Italian, or, it's not Indians playing Indians. So I think they ran into that with Chinese people, or Asian people too had an uphill. I mean, wasn't that big controversy with, was it Jerry Lewis that played the Chinaman in, wasn't it some movie? And he played like
Mickey
Rooney,
Rooney,
over the top.
Mickey Rooney in Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Oh, was it Mickey Rooney? Okay. But I remember, but like in Bruce Lee, I mean, Bruce Lee came up with the whole Kung Fu concept, and that was him. And then they gave it to David Carradine.
Yeah.
And he was devastated by that, but they were, always, again, not giving them lead roles. So it does make you wonder, did Victor Sen Yung say, well, at least it's a Chinese person, or it's an Asian person playing an Asian role, which must have been tough, which was interesting when they brought back Ponderosa. They really changed the Hop Sing character.
Yes, isn't that interesting?
It did not segue at all with what, of course, we saw in the pilot episode of Bonanza, which was kind of jarring. It made it really feel like a completely different show. It didn't feel like, which I don't know that Beth What's-Her-Face really cared, but just
but it's interesting that the reason given to Bruce Lee, if I recall, for being rejected for Kung Fu was that he was perceived as, quote, too Chinese, unquote, which is ridiculous. And I think David Carradine's character, although was not explicitly described as Chinese, but it was certainly implied that he was of Chinese ancestry. But I don't know the show well enough to say how they handled that ambiguity.
I guess we need to move on. Somebody did say in the early 70s, Bruce Lee was a hero in the Black community. Then Maria Julieta said, the pink cloud when a group of Chinese kidnapped Haas. What is the name of that episode? Somebody
Pink
said,
cloud
Pink
coming
Cloud
from
of
Old Cafe.
Yeah, Haas order fireworks and they send a woman that, okay, Marlo Thomas. Well, and then of course we talked about this the other day, but Marlo Thomas playing the Asian part, but you had said that the somebody went back and checked it, and it was that her one parent was Asian, but the other parent was, what was the lineage?
Annie Thomas, Liberty.
Well,
no.
Again, people have a big problem with Marlo Thomas, who's obviously not Asian, to play a Chinese war bride. And I offered a humble defense on behalf of David Dortort, I guess, who was not able to defend himself, saying that he cast the part because the script called for someone who was half Chinese and half Lebanese, because it was either a Lebanese or a Persian fur trader who had a relationship with a Chinese woman. And I guess that kind of sort of works. But of course, the real reason that Marlo Thomas was cast was because David Dortort was asked very much to do a favor for Marlo Thomas's father, Danny Thomas, who was a fellow producer and very influential at the time. And I guess the question arises, couldn't he have found a different script for her? And the answer is, you know, I'm trying to remember now. My aging brain sometimes kicks in. Marlo Thomas was not the first choice to play Ty Lee. It was another Asian actress who was appearing on Broadway at the time, and darned if, or dad burn it, I don't remember her name, but she got sick, and it was a last-minute thing, and that's how Marlo Thomas came in, and that's perhaps why the whole ethnicity business is a little cloudy.
That's Hollywood, as they say, right?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm sure Victor could have referred a nice Asian actress to get that part. It just still bugs me. But
what are you yelling for?
Because she's excited. Carol's always excited.
Yes, that's true.
I will finish with this last note. Yeah, I will finish with this last note, because when a lot of us went to the 1999 convention, Victor Sen Young's son, Brent, was there, and Victor's ex-wife, and there was a bunch of the family members, I
They were
believe.
cousins. They made a big family vacation out of it. That's true.
Yeah.
Tahoe region.
But I remember Brent saying that apparently he hadn't spoken to his father, obviously, in years or whatever, but he had left him these 5 suitcases, or had left them these suitcases with items in it that he had never opened. And then after the convention, he felt, I don't know if it's brave enough, but felt moved enough to open them. And then that's where they found a lot of, like, there were some photo albums and things like that, which that's one of the things I ended up with as one of the auctions, as well as a script for The Lonely Man, which was a copy of Victor's script, which is interesting because he did go through and changed it all to be the Chinese dialect that he would speak, that it was actually written differently. And then you see his pencil of changing it to be how he felt that Hop Sing.
You'll have that.
Which is interesting.
And you still have that, correct?
Yes, I do still have.
And this is interesting. Whenever you hear Vic saying something in Chinese, it's actual, authentic Cantonese. He would read a script which would say, Hop Sing says something angrily, and he would, as Dincher just said, he would carefully write down in Cantonese what he's supposed to say, and he would say it. So it was all authentic Chinese dialogue.